Isabella, did you see that DK Metcalf has requested a trade? Remember DK Metcalf? We had him on the podcast.
Does he know where he wants to go yet? Did he say?
Well, he said he wants to go to a contender, which I think technically does rule out New England.
So I know it's New England Patriots. Why do do they train in Massachusetts? Is that why
they play in
Massachusetts has more of the claim?
Yeah.
New England's also what? Rhode Island?
Sure. And Connecticut, Vermont and New Hampshire for sure. Maine as well.
Yeah, so why can't they train in those states?
Because that's not where their stadium is.
So they were the Boston Patriots until 1970. They moved to Foxborough in 1971.
So let's reclaim Boston Patriots.
Wait, but then I feel bad for Vermont and them. They don't have a team.
Hello, and welcome to Casuals, the show that loves sports and wants to share that with everybody. It's for all of us. Come on in. I'm your host, Katie Nolan. Today on the show, boy, we have a huge guest. Superstar Olympic gymnast Jordan Chiles is here. We are not going to waste too much time before we get to that. If you want to email us, you can at casuals@katienolan@gmail.com. You can call us 646-801-0043 or at Casuals the podcast on socials. We were just going to chat about, I guess, like a little bit of new. I saw this story a couple days ago. I guess it's kind of old news now, but it's interesting to me, and I'm interested to talk to you guys. The crew, Isabella, Brady, and Chris are here to talk about this story. So it was a game. It was in regards to a game on Sunday night, and it's now Thursday. So like I said, not new news, but the Houston Dynamo, a team in Major League Soccer, MLS, sent out a tweet that was a typical, like an apology you see on social media. So like a black background, white font. So you know, like, oh, something went down. What is this in regards to? And so I clicked on it, and it was them apologizing for Messi, Lionel Messi, who plays for Inter Miami, a team that was going to be playing against Houston, on Sunday. Lionel Messi will not be playing in that game. And so Houston was apologizing to fans who had bought tickets to the game. Let me just read what they wrote. The Houston Dynamo are excited to host Inter Miami at Shell Energy Stadium on Sunday evening. The recently shared player status report for the match did not include forward Lionel Messi, but it has been reported that he did not make the trip to Houston. Unfortunately, we have no control over who plays for our opponent. Duh. We look forward to hosting everyone tomorrow for what will be an incredible atmosphere and celebration of soccer for the city of Houston. To show our appreciation, fans who attend tomorrow night's match can claim a complimentary ticket to a future Dynamo match this season. Additional details will be provided early next week. So they're kind of, I guess, pretty careful not to say they apologize. But the vibe of that feels like an apology. And I'm fascinated by how stark that is. That if your team that you're playing's best player can't make it, that your first thought isn't to be like, hell yeah, that guy's not going to be here. We're going to win this one. And instead you say, hey guys, sorry. And if you want to come to a different game, you can come to one for free on us.
I think it just shows how big Lionel Messi is, right? Because coming into this game, I think the ticket prices for this game got jacked up so high.
I saw $250 resale.
$250 resale. That's still a lot of money.
I checked. I'm like, these must be so expensive. And it didn't seem and that's not me saying that $200 is not a lot for an MLS game that I assume and don't even know. Regular season? Middle of the season? Where are we in the MLS season?
Part of the
no
way.
one knows. The pause is no one knows. And that's
if I were to guess,
okay.
maybe third semester.
We are 2 games into the MLS season.
Oh, okay. So that's fine that I didn't know because I haven't been. Then I'm absolved. We're all absolved from our sins against sports. Yeah, I think, yes, you charge a lot for your tickets. The ticket price goes up based off of it being Messi, who Isabella, I assume you might know this one, but Messi's like a big international
I know
superstar,
that
right? Just making
one.
sure. Somebody out there might not. He's like a big deal. This is the tail end of his career. So he came to MLS. They gave him a bunch of money. He's, it's like a big sideshow when he comes to the game, and everybody wants to see Messi play. And I get that. Like, I do understand that. But it's just funny when real life and sports collide in this way, where you're like, economically, I understand why they would apologize, but you're also like, you're the team that he's playing against. We're supposed to boo. We hate this guy. Like, we want to beat him. Nobody even wants to. We're not even.
I know. My first thought was like, how bad are the Dynamo that
they're not the
they're
draw
relying
card for
on
their own
just-
fans.
I mean,
Yeah,
I just think that speaks to like our national appetite for domestic soccer is low. Pretty low. That's why I feel like you shouldn't be able to change how much you charge for a ticket to a game. As long as you're playing the same game and there's no like concert at halftime or something that you could reasonably say. Like, you shouldn't be able to charge based off of the quality of the players. That's like getting too involved in the game financially. You should have to charge the same across all, unless it's playoffs.
Like, I get that
Like,
if there's a game and like Megan Thee Stallion's going to perform at halftime, you pay more. And then if she doesn't show up, then
You a big Megan
Then
Thee
you-
Stallion guy, Brady?
she's big in Houston. I figured she's like the most Houston act they could pull in there.
That's good. Well,
Yeah, see?
You didn't answer the
mean,
question though.
Okay, sorry.
Beyonce?
If Paul Wall is playing at halftime and Paul Wall does not show up,
You a big Paul Wall guy?
hell yeah. I'm
There we
40.
go.
I am Paul Wall's exact
That's
demo.
so true. God,
Wait, who's Paul
40-year-old
Wall?
white
See?
dudes love Paul Wall.
I didn't even know Paul Wall.
What?
Chris drives too fast.
Chris, where did you grow up? Again, remind me.
Melbourne.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be. I don't think Paul
Never
made
seen
it that
this
far
dude
past the wall.
in my life.
Yeah. Well,
Right now, there are people listening like, hell yeah, Paul. They have turned us
You'll-
off to go
you'll-
listen to Paul
he's-
Wall right now.
but he's not the stereotype he looks like, if that makes sense. He's almost defied. It's a complicated. It's not the same as when you see other people do that. I feel like, is that a fair assessment?
Paul Wall was the Cooper DeJean of a previous generation.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes. I think yes. Where's Bubba? Who's Bubba Sparks' comp? Let's.
I've never seen this man in my life.
Really?
Paul Wall.
Yeah.
I've never seen this man. You know that Kiki Palmer
Yes.
meme?
I'm sorry to that man.
I'm so sorry to that man.
I'm so
Never
sorry to
seen
that
him a day
man.
in my life.
Paul
If
Wall
that
like
man
the,
passed me on the street.
is Paul Wall the American version of Robbie Williams?
No, absolutely not. What?
Again,
is-
the fact
what?
that was he that big here and he just
No.
never made it overseas? Because
No.
Robbie Williams was huge and no one in America knows about him.
No,
Being as I'm American
he's
and
not.
think that he's a way bigger star than Robbie Williams, I guess that's fair.
No, he's not as big as you guys. And if he is, then you guys are overstating Robbie Williams' fame, and it's been insane this whole time. But no, I don't think.
Wasn't
I
that
think
big?
My mom would not know who Paul Wall
Oh,
is.
okay.
My dad would not know who Paul
Okay.
Wall is. I don't. My dad would. No. I'm just
I'm trying to
supposed be
figure out the
laughing,
level of
picture talking to
fame
my
here.
dad about. It's not. He's not famous. He's not that famous. He's not
Okay,
that
so
famous.
I don't feel bad.
But with
I don't know.
our it was like his music was when we were in like middle high school, right?
I'm younger
so
than
that's
you.
why we.
So I don't know.
You know, you don't have to say it every episode. We cut it
Yeah,
out.
Chris
but
is Gen
every
Z like me, in case
every
you guys
episode,
didn't
Chris looks
know.
at me and says, "I'm younger than you," and it's like, all right.
It's just facts.
I just feel. Did you guys see that Fanatics and Ticketmaster teamed up? But they're calling it a dual part. So basically, it's like Ticketmaster's going to sell merch, bad merch, and Fanatics is going to sell bad tickets. I mean, what is my question? I think is like, when do these people have to stop? Have you seen some of the hats Fanatics has been putting out? They'll do a thing that feels very AI generated, where they'll take like the two teams that are playing against each other and put their two logos on a hat and write like verses in between it and put the date of the. And you're like, who's buying that?
It's like the
That's
NFL
too
Rob
much.
Lowe hat.
Who? Yes, but somehow worse. It's like, who's buying that? Sports merch is like sports merch. She said.
Sounds right to me.
Sports merch.
Sports merch is just like seems like such an easy thing to get right. That like, oh my God, you have the exclusive rights to this these coveted symbols. Just turn them into clothes we want to wear. And Fanatics is like, no, But how about this? A disposable piece of garbage that'll fall apart as soon as you wear it, that commemorates a game that doesn't matter and makes you wear the logo of the team you're not rooting for on your hat. Stupid. So I don't know. Cool for the Houston Dynamo, I guess, to have. Thank you for the. I guess that is a better than nothing. What do you want them to do, right? They're not going to give you your money back. The game's still being
I want
played,
them to beat the hell out of Miami and then move on with their lives. Be like, hey, fans, we just beat them 3-0.
Can you look it up? Did they? Did they win?
They did not win because they were 0-2.
So I guess it didn't really matter. What a messy situation. Okay, that is the news. That's it. One story. It's just something I saw that I thought was really interesting. But I didn't want to take away too much time in this episode from our interview today, which is with Jordan Chiles. Jordan Chiles has a new book. It's out now. It's called I'm That Girl. I read it. Full disclosure, I read it, I got a copy right like a day and a half before this interview, and I didn't want to be that person that maybe older Katie would have been that was like, I got the book, but I don't have time to read a book in a day and a half. I was like, no, read the book and talk to her about her book. And what I didn't realize is like how a lot, she's been through a lot. And that reading that book really rocked me. And I think you might hear that in my voice a little. This woman's been through a lot and she's super young, and that was a lot to process. If you don't know Jordan Chiles, I mean, you must be living under a rock, but we were mostly introduced to her on a global scale in Tokyo in 2020 when Simone Biles famously suffered from the twisties, which had her lost in the air and feeling confused, which is very unsafe when you perform at the level that Simone Biles performs at. So she was not able to compete. And Jordan and the team had to step up, and they did really well. They got silver, which they were shorthanded. It was wild. And then this summer in Paris, you may remember, there was a scoring controversy. So they won the gold team medal, Team USA did. And then Jordan had won bronze in the floor exercise. This was that historic podium. It was Rebecca Andrade from Brazil, Simone Biles, and Jordan Chiles. And then we later learned that that bronze medal was being taken away from Jordan. It's a little bit of a complicated situation, and unfortunately, we don't get into it too much in this interview because it's still ongoing, which is good news. That means it's not finalized, but basically a little bit of back and forth of a score inquiry was submitted and it wasn't taken into account. Then they took it into account, so she got the bronze. And then the other team was like, well, now hold on a second. They took too long to submit the inquiry. It's very murky. And if you're curious and interested about it, there's a lot of good stuff to read up about it. We don't get into it that much here, but we do talk about how it affected her. We talked about that wasn't the first time in her life she had an award taken away from her. And we talk about a lot of the stuff she's been through. I'm going to give a mild trigger warning here for abuse. But Jordan was incredibly open. She's truly such a remarkable figure in sports. It was fantastic to get to talk to her, and I'm excited to share that with you now. So here is Jordan Chiles.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to dive deep into it.
I mean, so much. We have so much to get to. The new book, I'm That Girl, out now, available now. How do you feel? The process of writing a book is long and arduous, I hear. How does it feel that it's like out of you now?
Honestly, I can tell you when I was writing it, I was like, there's no way I'm telling my story right now. It was a dream of mine ever since I was little. I believe I had told my mom, I was like, you know what? It's like one day I'm gonna write a book about my crazy life of mine, and we're gonna see how it turns out. And to know that I have this opportunity to finally tell my story how it's supposed to be told, and hopefully people get an understanding of how I've become the person I am today, and all the struggles and pains and aches and ups and downs in everybody's life, and how I'm not perfect. People think I'm the most perfect. I am not perfect. I am not, just a happy girl all the time. So knowing that I had this opportunity and it's out in the world and that people get to read it, I'm just really honored and excited.
You say you're not perfect. Ironic, given the recent tens you've been pulling in. Uh, it sounds like you are perfect. Uh, Before we dive right into the book, I mean, hello, tens, perfect tens. It's confusing, I think, to a lot of people because when we watch Olympic gymnastics,
Hmm.
perfect tens aren't a thing. But
Yeah.
in collegiate gymnastics, they are still a thing, and you are still racking them up.
Thank you. Yeah, so the difference, I know a lot of people always do ask, they're like, okay, so with college gymnastics, you guys get perfect tens, but in elite, it's different. Well, back in the day, a perfect 10 was that's how the scoring was before, generations happened and people kind of developed more of the sport and it just point systems and execution and difficulty just started to go higher in the elite world. So it definitely is crazy to know that tens are still being honored and that people get to establish them and have this opportunity to feel like, oh wow, this was something that was back when, Diane Durham was in the sport and, Betty Okino and all those people and it's just cool to have that feeling. And yes, it's crazy to know that I have tens and it's crazy to know that they're still racking up and I'm just honored and I have fun with it. College gymnastics is really fun and I get to show more of my personality than being, the elite girl that people see all the time. So it's definitely a cool experience. Feeling it is different. Like when you know you got the 10, it's
Oh
just
my God.
it's the feeling, the vibes, the part of your team that comes together, your coaches, the fans. It's just a cool opportunity.
What does it feel like? Because I mean, most people listening to this will never, ever know. What does it feel like when you're like,
If
that was perfect?
it feels like when you know it's perfect, like in my floor routine that I did that I got a 10 on recently, it feels basically when you go into a restaurant and you know what you're ordering and you know that it's going to taste so good that you can already feel it and you can already like, taste the whether it's like a steak or a salmon, you can taste the flavors and all that. So that's how I put it in that way. It's like basically like a cherry on top of an amazing ice cream sundae.
Now
And
that I can relate to. Thank you very much. It's a perfect way. It's like when you
yes,
order at a restaurant and it's a thing you really want to eat.
yes, like those type of feelings are something that not a lot of people get to feel. And so when you know inside of you and you have that feeling leading up to whether it's your last pass or even just the last finish, it's just a remarkable feeling. It feels like you just reached the highest of all heights and you're that star that is just the brightest in the sky. And I love it. I enjoy it.
Well, you are the brightest star in the sky.
Thank
One thing,
you.
one thing that stood out to me while I was reading this book is, I'm reading about all of the beginning of your gymnastics career. And I have to keep reminding myself, like, this is a 7, 8, 9 year old child. Like it's
Mhm.
the way you're having to decide that this is going to be your life. It happened in the span of 18 months. You started gymnastics, quote unquote, late, right? For
Yes.
most people. And
Yes.
then within 18 months, it was your life.
Hmm.
What as a kid, do you have any idea what's going on? Or are you just, I mean, it does seem like your body was just made to do gymnastics. Like it lives in you and it just was trying to get out. But I mean, when I had to pick my major for college, I was like, I'm too young. I'm just a little girl. I don't know what any of this is. You were literally a little girl setting yourself up for life.
Hmm. So during that time, I probably didn't know anything that I was doing. I just was told that since I had such high energy, or as people would say, I had really bad ADHD when I was younger, and it was an outlet for me. And in order for me to have conversations with my family without moving so much, my energy went all into my practices. And I didn't think the thought of becoming an Olympian would be in gymnastics. I can tell you that. I never thought, oh yeah, gymnastics is going to be your sport. I just had a dream of doing that. So knowing that in the span of, starting when I was 7 to now, 20 plus years, that little girl probably was just in the gym being like, yeah, I'm doing flips. I'm playing around. I'm having fun. I'm jumping. I'm doing all these things. But then I start to progress, and that's when I realized, wait, I'm competing and I'm getting ribbons and I'm getting medals and this is fun. Wow, this is great. This is cool. Like I feel like I am somebody. Like, okay. But to tell you the truth, at a young age, you never really know how your life is gonna go. I always think of it as, you think of becoming an astronaut. And you never know. It's an imagination. You never know what reality could truly look like. And that's how it was with my sport. It was an imagination. I really was just in there trying to, play pretend with other teammates or something like that, thinking that it wasn't a play date, but it was a play date at a gym. And I wasn't having dollhouse parties or anything like that. My dollhouse parties were at a gym. So it was more of a discipline and a maturity thing that I had to develop when I was younger. And I don't think I would be in this position now to be able to, say at 7 years old, no, I don't even know if I even knew what US history was. Like, but I knew that if I knew I was flipping on a 4 inch piece of wood. Like, all those things are crazy to think about. And I'm just really happy that I was able to develop a different type of maturity and a different type of discipline
Mm,
to where now I can say, you know what? Like, I know when to say yes or no, or I know when to say it's time for me to stop. Because at that time, I didn't. I was just like, yeah, I'll keep going. I'll keep pushing. I'm just going to keep running down, the vault runway or something like that. So definitely didn't have truly a clue what was happening, but obviously it turned out to be something good.
something amazing, especially impressive given, I did not know the extent of what you had been through with a coach, and you get into it quite a bit in this book.
Mhm.
Um, it was really hard to read. I don't mean that like it's a hard to read book. I just mean like it was hard to read.
Yeah.
The sort of, I don't want to put words in your mouth. It felt like abuse to me that you experienced at the hands of one of your coaches, a person who's supposed to be guiding you and helping you grow. And it hurt to read the things that this coach would say to you. And I think it came to a point, was it at your first trip to Olympic camp when you had to share a room with your coach and they cut your hair off? I'm not ashamed to admit I cried at that part of the book. That's an incredibly invasive thing to do to you at a moment in your life that you're already nervous and everything's changing and there's a lot riding on this moment. Um, I how 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 do you process that at that age? How do you pick yourself up and do what you need to do?
Hmm. So during that time frame, a lot of the time people would always say, it's just the part of the sport.
Yeah.
And I nor my parents knew what that meant. We were just like, okay, yeah, it's just part of the sport. But my mom had a feeling because that went too far. That went to an extent. Like
Mm.
you cut my hair because it wasn't the proper way an athlete should look. And for me, I didn't know what to do in that time frame. I didn't know if this was normal, if it wasn't normal, but I do know it was not the right thing. I was verbally abused. I was very devastated in a lot of ways, but I was always told it's just the sport. It's just the sport. And it's like now that I think about it, that's not the sport.
No.
That's not the sport at all. It's not, knowing that you are supposed to have a mentor, a coach who is supposed to help you get to your goal and she tears you down. That's not something a little girl wants to go through. And during that was more of a racial situation. You're telling me just because I have braids in my hair and I don't look like all the other athletes, I have to be presented in a way to look like them, even though that's not me. That doesn't make any sense at all. So it was a crazy time frame, I have to say, that I am very thankful that I was able to survive. I always tell myself I survived a crazy era. I survived a time frame that, a lot of people would just be done for.
Hmm.
And it wouldn't be for, the support that I have or, the family members that are backing me up and everything that I'm doing. But I truly think that time frame was all from God. God was trying to show me no matter what is thrown at you, right? People always say when watermelons get thrown at you, it's the toughest thing in the world. That's what was happening. I had watermelons, lemons, coke, whatever it was.
Whole
But
fruit salad.
literally, but God knew that I had the capability of being as strong as I am, as being, the person that I am to create this strong, beautiful athlete. And so I don't want that to ever happen to anybody. I don't. But at the end of the day, it shaped me to be the person that I am today. It is something when I had to explain it when I was writing the book,
Mm,
it was very hard to remember because I was a time frame that I was like, I don't want to remember that. I don't
mm-hmm,
want to have to look back on the fact that I got, my braids cut off.
mm,
I don't want to remember that I may have been smoked out in the car. I don't remember want to remember those things at all because those were devastating times. And that's what I mean by I wasn't perfect because I could have said something, but my voice was silenced. I was silenced for that time frame, so I didn't have a say in what I wanted to do or what I didn't. At the end of the day, it all came down to, well, that's just the sport. So
mm,
that term, I wish people could kind of give a better example of, okay, so then what is the sport? You're telling me that being quote unquote, whether it's emotionally, whether it's verbally abused, is something that's normal. That's not normal. Sports should be able to, have fun. You're supposed to be able to walk into the gym or, onto a football field and feel confident and okay with what you're doing. And that is something that I wish that I could have seen when I was younger, but I didn't. Again, I didn't have a voice and I was silenced and I couldn't do anything about it. But yes, that was a very devastating time frame and I hope people know that this isn't just, oh, she's trying to say this or say that. Like, no, these things actually happened to me.
mm.
I had to deal with them my whole entire life. I still have trauma from them. I
Of
still
course.
wake up and I'm just like, oh, like, what am I doing? I'm doing something wrong. Like, I still have those little things that stick with me that because of my past. So it was definitely, it was hard to process. That was something that I did have to figure out how to process as I did get older because it just only got worse until
Mm.
I had to realize, you know what? It's time to move on. You have to
Yeah,
move.
you talked about in the book about and this happened to you. It feels like the theme I felt throughout reading it was that like clearly you were made to do this. And
Mm,
yet at every turn you kept getting hit with like it's not for you. It's not for you.
yep.
It's not for you. And
Mhm.
like as a reader, I was like come on baby, it is for you. Don't
Yeah.
stop. And I mean, first of all, your parents sound like the most sweet angels on earth. The way that
Yeah.
they parented you, the way they taught you that like no one's going to tell you who you are. I'm Jordan Childs.
Yes.
That was beautiful. And I know you've been very thankful and loud about how wonderful they were as parents. I
Yes.
wanted to let them know if they hear this, they nailed it. Like, what an amazing job. But it really felt like this sport that you were clearly made for
Mm.
kept telling you it wasn't made for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just wonder, like, the way you persevered through that
Thank
and
you.
now are exactly who you are
Mm-hmm.
unapologetically, it speaks to, I know you said I had to go through that, but I think it just speaks to the person that you are. I'm
Mm-hmm.
realizing this isn't a question, but it is something I wanted to say to you because
Thank
I
you.
mean, the more I read that it was just like, that's not how we wear our hair. That's not the type of music that we like to dance to. That's not the way your body should look.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly over and over. And now it's like, I guess not, people, because
Mm-hmm.
look at me. Here I
Yeah.
am succeeding at the highest level of the sport. Like, you feel that, right?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I do, 100%. When it comes when it comes to certain things that as a gymnast, I can't even say athlete because I'm a gymnast. There's more than, what people see. And I think when people read this and they see, or they're reading or listening, and they have the ability to realize that I was the black sheep of everything. I was always the one that people didn't expect to get a medal. People didn't expect for me to be that good. People didn't expect that I was able to accomplish all the things that I was accomplishing. And that's why I wanted to give this opportunity to show the struggle and the resilience that I had coming out of it. Because, yes, I could have just let it all be right there in that moment. Any of those moments that I am explaining, whether, I'm explaining about my hair, whether I'm explaining about, missing assignments because I didn't have a coach, whether it was any of those things, but I still had the courage and the resilience to put myself in that position. So for you to say that makes me happy because it's like that, if that's how you're feeling, what is everybody else going to feel? And what is everybody going to say about those things? But again, I was known as the black sheep. And I accepted that because I was like, okay, if I'm gonna be that way, then why not shine bright,
Mm,
right? You were saying that my parents always have told me be the best Jordan that you want to be. You're only one Jordan. I can be, I could try to be other people, but that's not who I was. I was always trying to be a better version of myself each and every day, whether I did get teared down, whether I did get, shown something totally different, whether people didn't like the way I danced or the way I chose my music or my hair or something like that. But those were things that I was establishing within myself. And that was just me being authentic to who I was. I'm not going to change myself to give a different picture. That's not how it works. I'm the one painting the picture. I'm the one who's constantly on the floor. I'm the one who's constantly doing all these things. And why can't you guys accept the fact that that's me? Why do I have to be somebody else? So that's that part in the book is very, it does hit. Trust me, when I was reading, I was like, oh my God. And I'm the one who was talking about it. Like, it does hit really, really hard, but I'm hoping that people understand that this is just me. This is me being the person that I was and all the things that I had to go through. And I will continue if I'm still the black sheep, I will continue to be the black sheep because it has done me wonders. It has done me a million different things that I can stand right here, right now and say, you're the reason why Jordan Childs is Jordan Childs. And I'm very grateful for that, like 100%, because what more can I give? That
mm,
was that's another thing. What more can I give? If I'm giving all my potential and giving you guys what you quote unquote are expecting and you're still not liking it, then what else do you want me to do about that?
right. Also surprising to me was this theme that what happened at the last Olympics, which we can get into, was not the first time that something was like given to you and then taken away from you.
Nope. Not at
I
all.
I was like, because I when it happened, I was happy to see you say in the book something like you were thinking about like, can I just leave the country with it and then they can't take the medal from me? Because my first thought was like, Jordan, get on a plane, get on a plane. They're not going to come pick it up. That's too expensive. Get on a plane, leave with it.
Yes.
Oops, I lost it. I can't give it
Yeah.
back. It was
Yeah.
funny to see that you had that thought too. But to know that for you, it was like I've been through this already. This has happened to me before.
Mm-hmm. It was, yeah, I was really young when this happened. I was so excited to get up on that podium and accept my award and take it home with me, but that didn't happen. I got it stripped away from me because of my skin color, and I wasn't very welcomed at this competition. And it was, in my eyes during that time, I was young, so I was just like, oh, okay, like they just took my award from me, and that's okay. But my mom in that moment knew what was happening.
Mm,
And so for her to speak about it or even remind me of that time frame, because I was young, you don't really remember
of
that much when
course.
you're younger. Your
And none
parents,
of it makes sense to you in the grand scheme
exactly,
of you don't know the world yet, for better
exactly.
and for worse.
You're still processing. Your brain is still developing. So
Yeah.
now that I think about it, that was the most devastating thing any girl could ever go through. Like when she told me, I literally got tears in my eyes and I was like, wait, that actually happened. She goes, yes. And I was like, Mom, what are you talking? She's like, this actually happened to you when you were younger. And I was like, that is so crazy. And I'm still here, standing till this day, the person that I am. And for it to to literally be a full circle moment just made me realize I was tested at the beginning of my career to see what my end goal
Yeah.
was going to be.
Yeah.
God has his ways. I try to tell people God has his ways for you to understand what your life is supposed to be at a young age and seeing how it flourishes as you're getting older. And so that's like a testament to me. That's something that I really, want people to see that this has happened to me once before. I was young. I didn't know what to say, but now that I have a voice, I'm gonna say what I need to say now because that's not right. It's not right to do anything that people are doing, and it's not just because of because I'm an athlete. No, there's more to it. There's a broader picture, and people don't see the broader picture. People only see, well, maybe she didn't deserve it, or maybe she didn't do this, or maybe she didn't do that. And it's like, no, I did everything that I need to do. I deserved that award the same way I
Mm-hmm.
deserved my medal.
Mm-hmm.
And yet y'all still don't see the broader picture. And that's why there's so many different things. Like you were saying how, I was like, maybe I just take it with me and, say I lost it or something. Because those are the things that I think in my head, but it's at the end of the day, my passion and my ability to put myself on the biggest stage of my life or the littlest stage of my life and give my all and give you guys an entertainment that you guys so say paid for or came and watched, and yet you still criticize what
Mm.
I'm doing. And y'all the ones who are watching. Y'all are watching it. Y'all are watching what I'm doing, whether I was young or whether I'm older, and y'all are still trying to take something away from a girl, a young girl, or my older, younger self.
Still a younger girl. Still a younger
Yes.
girl. Yeah.
And you're trying to take that away from her. Like, there's so much to it. And I think that's why saying those things, whether I, wrote it in the book or just even on social media, there's a broader picture.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time frame of me being younger, I didn't see that. But now that I think about it, it's a full circle moment and I can talk about it and I can say what I need to say.
We've never seen a gymnast have a medal stripped for anything other than like drug
Nope.
offenses or like rule breaking. Um, that's what, if I can be, that's what pissed me off is I was like, she
Mhm.
didn't do anything wrong. And I remember there being a wrinkle about they were doing a documentary about Simone and the
Mhm.
cameras captured the
Mhm.
clock that
Mhm.
actually proved that the coaches had submitted the inquiry. I know people get very lost in the murkiness of this very confusing situation that ended with your medal being taken away. But I guess my most basic question for you is this matter resolved? Is it over? Are you is the medal's been taken back and you're done, or is it still playing out?
No, it's not over. It's still ongoing. My lawyers and my attorneys are the ones who are kind of laying everything out,
Mm,
and they are the ones who are taking control. I haven't been
okay.
in the loop of everything.
Good. Good. And you shouldn't be. You shouldn't
So,
be. Keep protect
yes.
you from that and have them do that's what they are good at. And this is what you are good at. So,
Literally.
but if you could let them know that I said, get that medal back for her. She
Yes.
deserved it. And that podium, that was such a
Yes.
beautiful and like historic podium
Historical.
that it really, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but it really hurt to have that be the moment that they took away from you. And I'm upset about it. And I'm going to be upset about it for a very long time. Um, one thing that you said in here in this book
Yes.
that I really like sat with
Hmm.
was when you were talking about gymnastics being a sport of illusion in a number of ways.
Hmm.
But basically, that you're expected now to be such powerful gymnasts, but to appear like frail, skinny
Hmm.
little girls.
Hmm.
And I think, I watch a lot of gymnastics. No big deal. I was a rhythmic gymnast when I was a kid. Um,
Okay.
okay. And so I've watched a lot of gymnastics and I think I knew that, But to hear you say it like that also reminded me, and we don't need to talk about it, but it reminded me of like abuse that gymnasts suffer and they're not supposed to show. You're just
Mhm.
supposed to look like our ideal little girls and who are so tiny and frail, but wow, look at how they sure do flip. And I sort of love that you've stood in your truth on that and been like, "Hey, to do what I've got to do, this is what my body looks like."
Mhm.
And I know you mentioned in here that you not diagnosed with an eating disorder, but you developed a difficult relationship with food. I think that's incredibly relatable to young women in a number of different industries.
Mhm.
But I think that, do you feel like that's, and maybe this makes you feel like it's your, I don't want to make you feel egotistical, but do you feel like you've had a change, an effect on the sport in the way that people, what we're looking for, showing people that it can look all different types of ways?
I can definitely say, you know how people say that people can change the game of a sport?
Hmm.
I can definitely say I changed the culture of the
Yeah.
sport. And I'm very honored to be a part of that and creating that it's okay to be yourself. Not everything is going to be perfect. And yes, did I get, I always wondered why I wasn't getting judged the same like everybody else. I always wondered why, things weren't looking the same. Trust me, I did. But then I realized in order for me to have the power that I needed, in order for me to be as powerful as I am, I can't change my body. God created this body for a reason. He
Hmm.
can't tell me to change it. There's no point for me to change it. And that is something like with the eating, yes, I did have a dislike to eating because I was always told that, I would look like a sack of potatoes or I had a double head or my butt was too big. Yes, I went through that phase, but that's typically imposter syndrome, right?
Hmm.
With every woman has that. And I think it's something that it's just engraved in us. And as an athlete, it's even more because we are constantly told something different every day. I would get weighed. You're telling me 110 pounds is too heavy? Come on now. I'm 110 pounds. Like, you want me to be 99, 90? Like, that's not healthy. Like, my health is more important than my sport. And that's when I started to realize, okay, Jordan, your health is more important than your sport. You need to look healthy. You need to look that is what's going to be able to give you your power and everything that you need. So it definitely is, I can say I have changed the culture of the sport and what it's like to just be you. I have tattoos. I have, my
So many more than I knew you had. You have so
yeah,
many
I
tattoos.
have so many tattoos. My nails are done, my lashes are done because those are things that I enjoy and I want to be able to enjoy myself and be able to enjoy my sport as well. So it is, crazy that the development of people are having the ability to be themselves more. I have little girls come up to me and be like, "Oh my gosh, like so I have my nails. I love the way that, and I'm like, okay, period. Like you do you, little one. Like go for it. But I'm happy that's what people are thinking now, and it's not, this is what you have to look like. You have to be strict. You have to do this, that, and the other. So, I'm proud to say that yes, the culture of the sport is changing now, and it was back then very, very strategic and very strict in a lot of things, but we're growing generations are growing. The younger generation is looking like me now. Like there's nothing we can do about that and more girls are having the opportunity to be themselves. And I think that's why people are enjoying our sport more because
Hmm.
it's like, "Oh, I see her personality or I see her with different hairstyles or this." So,
I know this song. I feel like
I know this
that's so underappreciated.
exactly.
Like, I know this song. Let me watch what she does to it. It's like, seems so
Exactly.
obvious that I'm like, gymnastics, wake up. Like, this is it.
Exactly.
Watching you dance, like, flip to Beyonce rules. Like, you had a Normani routine, I remember, rules.
Yes.
Like, that's the stuff that it just seems so obvious to me. And I love
It
that
is
you've been like, this is what it is, and I'm going to do it this way.
100%. And that's what back then everything was just okay. So it's called artistic gymnastics for a reason.
Hmm.
Back then it was just gymnastics. Gymnastics, gymnastics, let's do flips, da, 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 all this stuff. Now that I've been able to incorporate what I've been doing, whether it's Beyonce, whether it's Normani, whether it's throwing it back to the 90's, whether it's, Megan Thee Stallion. That's what art is. We
Hmm.
use music to create what we're doing, right? We're in practices listening to music. So why can't we incorporate the art part of it in artistic gymnastics and make something greater so people can be entertained? Yes, it's already amazing that we have for flipping on a 4-inch piece of wood. Why not make it even more amazing of them being in the crowd like, "Oh my gosh, do you guys remember this song? You remember that one time?" Like those are memories that the audience are making as well. So the broader picture and the broader part of what it's like is understanding that the culture of gymnastics is changing and that I was a part of that and that I am continuing to change what it's like to be an athlete and also understanding that it's called artistic gymnastics. The art is what makes the beauty in anybody. And if we're the beauty and we're those people, then why not put it to the forefront?
We all know that you're friends with Simone Biles.
Yeah.
Reading this book, I really came to understand like the depth of that friendship,
Yeah.
and what she really means to you. And everybody knows Simone Biles, the
Mhm.
gymnast. But I was wondering if you could give people a little bit of insight into Simone Biles, the friend, and what that's like.
Yes, Simone honestly is the most outgoing, spunky, amazing friend that any girl could ask for. I never knew I needed somebody so deeply in my life as much as she came in. And she has done wonders. She helped me find a love again. She helped me be able to understand my sport a little more. And as being the person she is, being a three-time Olympian, just, she's the GOAT for a reason, right? Like she's done immaculate things in gymnastics, but she's taught me what it's like to love her husband. She's taught me what it's like to be a dog mom. She's taught me what it's like to have days that aren't good, but still enjoy the fact that, yes, I have a sport, but I also have a life. And knowing that I have somebody like that, I can kind of navigate my life in a way to be like, okay, if I wake up in the morning and I have not the best hair day, well, let's figure it out. Let's do something. Let's laugh about it. Let's joke about it. Let's look at ourselves in the. And I think that's something that people don't get to see because it's always the sport, the sport, the sport. But I got to see, even during COVID, I got to see the Simone who likes to go eat with friends. I got to see the Simone who loves her dogs deeply. I got to see the Simone that had a snake at one point in time. Like we were
What?
feeding snakes. Yeah.
What?
I got to experience those things. I got to experience the Simone that people should be able to see now on a broader picture because she is an amazing athlete, but she's also an amazing friend. And I wouldn't change anything, not one bit about her because she has brought me to be the person I am today and to be able to use my voice when it's needed.
It's very striking to me how gymnasts have to carry on when their friends are like hurt or going through something. Listening to you talk about the Olympic trials and how like somebody would, hurt their ACL or something, and then their dream was dead, but you were up next, and you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to just like you feel for your friend, but you got to get back in your bubble.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really fascinating to read that part of your book, but it also kind of made me look at Tokyo and think how uniquely difficult for it to be your friend who is like
Yeah.
you got to go. And you said that at some point someone came out and just said put your grips on, and you were like
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean? And you had
Yeah.
seconds to process that. How, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, are you just, is your mind just running wild in that moment? What are you feeling?
Well, during that time frame, that moment, honestly, I was just like, what is happening? Um, what do I do? I literally had no words during that. I just followed the person who came out and told me was my coach, Cecile Landy, and she was like, Jordan, you need to put your grips on. And I was like, huh? What? No, what? What's happening? Like, what? Okay. So at first I was just in my head thinking, okay, this is just a precautionary thing just in case.
Mm.
And I was like, no, it's not. Because then that's when Simone came out and told us everything. And I was just like, there's no way I am about to put myself in these big shoes right now. because I was like, this is my first Olympics. Like, what is happening? Like, I'm so
And
confused.
there's no one in the audience that's like
No
adding to the
one.
weirdness of it. And you're a big like hype energy person and it's just
Yes.
empty.
Empty, nothing. I couldn't even look at my parents to be like, what is
Uh,
happening? Like, there is nothing. So in that moment, which felt like 15 seconds to me, but I asked my parents and they were like, no, it was more like 15, 20 minutes. I was like, okay. In that time frame, I had to really think about, okay, Jordan, this is the test that you have to pass. What are you gonna do? And that's when I realized I'm going to put myself in these gigantic shoes, known as Simone Biles, and give her what she deserves. And everything that I was doing the rest of that time frame, bars, beam, floor, everything, I was doing it for her because I know she would have been so sad, so sad if something else went wrong. And
mm,
because she was in the same boat as we all were in, we decided to stay an extra year to go to an Olympic Games. We decided to do all those things. So to be in that moment, it was like, how can we support her and do the things that we're doing for her? And the way that she returned it while getting us chalk and doing this and giving us the support and loving on us, it made it so much easier for me to be like, okay, I made her proud. That was my biggest thing is how can I make her proud knowing that I put myself in this position. So it was really in that moment, everything was a blur. But if I look back, I was very, very proud of myself that I was able to fulfill the test and that I
mhm.
passed it. And we got to come home with a silver medal with three people.
Incredible.
Three people. Like we competed with three people. Like,
Who didn't know that was how the day was going to go
no,
at all.
at
At
all.
all. It's
And I give
remarkable.
kudos. Kudos to Grayson Suni because it wasn't even just like, oh, we're all good. No, we all had to come together. That was the moment we literally all had to come together and finish the meet strong because we needed to make something great, something happened. And so it was a cool experience. Definitely a cool experience. I learned a lot from it. I learned that I could lead. I learned that I could be, trusted, confident, all those things. So I definitely can say it was a great experience, but I have told her multiple times, I do not want to fill your shoes ever again.
Don't ever do that to me again.
No, because it was so like, what am I doing? But
I would crumble under the pressure. There's many differences between you and I, but one of them I know is I would crumble under that pressure.
But
But
I
you
knew,
did. You
I
were
knew I
great.
had a job. I knew that was the reason why I was on the team and I had a job because that whole year I was consistent. So that I knew this was where, okay, they can trust me. And so here we go.
I mean, side note, twisties, now that I know about them, sounds like the scariest thing that's ever happened on Earth. Just like you're in the air. And I also think it's wild how you guys can notice it when obviously the layman can't, where you're like, something's up. But
Yes.
you did such a good job of describing what a perfect 10 feels like. Is there like a restaurant analogy for what a twisties moment feels like? Because that just sounds like, and I can't picture it.
Okay, so one of my teammates, Jocelyn Robertson, actually explained this very, very, very well. And she was basically explaining it as if you're going on a roller coaster and you don't know where the turns are coming.
Ah,
Yeah. So if you
yeah.
put that analogy is kind of what it is with the twisties because you don't know what's gonna happen. You're
Mm.
just right, you're in your seat, especially if you're going backwards and you don't see anything. And all of a sudden you're just twisting and turning and you don't know when it's gonna stop.
I mean, and then you have to hopefully land.
Yeah.
That's very, very scary.
Yes.
Yikes. There should be a specific prayer away from twisties, leave me alone. Please do not visit
Literally.
me today. That's a nightmare. It's that I spent that entire Olympic cycle just feeling scared that it could hit anybody. And I wish I could go back to not knowing about it. I hate it. I hate that it exists. Your grandpa, Gene, rest in peace,
Oh,
not being able to go to and watch you because he was afraid he was so nervous it would make you
yes.
nervous. Cutest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yes, my grandpa. He's literally the sweetest. He did pass away almost 2 years ago. a year ago. Oh, that's so crazy to think about. So yeah, almost 2 years ago. It was a sudden situation. I
Ugh.
honestly don't even couldn't tell you how he passed away. Like it
Mm.
was just all of a sudden I found out we had to go to the hospital and he was in a coma and then it was time for him to go. But yes, he always told me that was one thing he would every single time I would come back from a competition and he would tell me, he'd be like, Mahita. He was like, I haven't watched it yet, but I heard you did good because Google told me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yes, Grandpa, I did. And so he would actually record it and
Oh,
watch it at a later time because he just didn't feel like being in person was the best for me because he hadn't been to a meet my literally my whole life, I think, of when I even started. And it was just like, okay, if that's what you think, that's what you think. But it's crazy. He did go to one meet though, and it was in Texas. It was NCAA's, and I was just very, very happy that he showed up. And you know, I will forever be able to cherish that because he always told me that I had one more Olympics in me, and
mm.
he always told me, he still I can hear him in my ear. You're the best gymnast out there, Mahita. You're the best gymnast out there. So I definitely, always have him in my heart and I cherish everything that he had given me and can taught me when I was younger and his little snacks that I would steal from his lunch pail and all of those things. So he was a funny guy. He was a handsome dude too.
Oh, really?
My grandpa was pretty handsome,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm gonna see if Google can tell me about that when we're done with this interview. You talked about how you've got a theme in all of your elite seasons.
Yeah.
I'm That Girl was one of them. Oh, me doing this off the top of my head is a nightmare.
Little
Little
Miss Not
Miss
Done
Never
Yet.
Gonna Give Up.
No, Little Miss Not Done Yet. All those sayings or mottos typically came from time frames of, okay, I did an Olympic Games once, so let's run it back. I did an amazing year. So I'm not done yet, of course, like hello. And then I'm that girl, obviously, that was just more of an affirmation and kind of giving me the ability to look at myself and be like, you've struggled, you've conquered, you've done all these things, but you're still that girl. You're still standing on 2 feet, thriving, everything, all the potential that you have is being given out to the world. So this year I haven't found one yet.
All right. I don't mean to rush it. It will come.
No, but I've been listening. A majority of where I get my mottos typically come from songs.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what are
And
we listening to right now?
so right recently I've been listening to Megan's album
Yeah,
I don't
great.
know her
Megan,
album.
who famously sent you flowers just from
Yes.
Megan.
Yes, Megan the
Wild.
Stallion. Yes, she sent me flowers. I've been recently listening to her album, but I also been recently listening to Coco Jones's album as
Hmm.
well. So it just varies. I don't know what the motto is gonna be this year. I kind
Can't
of
force it.
let
It'll
it.
happen when it happens.
Yeah,
But
we'll
you
see.
got to let us
I'll
know.
let you
You have
know
to.
though.
Okay, good, good, good.
Yeah,
You
I'll
do
let you
have to
know.
let
You'll
us know.
probably see it. You'll probably see it.
Okay, good. And then I know you're named, I think a lot of people know that you're named after Michael Jordan, and
Yes.
you're a bit of a sneakerhead. Do
Yes.
you have a favorite pair of sneakers?
Ooh, everybody always asks me this
I
question, and
know.
I never can choose. I just always say I'm a Jordan 1s girl. I
Mm,
like dunks and I like Jordan 4s. Um, but if I truly had to choose, it would either be my off-white Jordan 1s or my Swarovski dunks.
I mean, yeah, good choice. That sounds like a sparkly good choice to me.
Yes, yes. I'm pretty sure I think I did wear them to a meet one time. I forget what meet it was though. I think it was when I wore my white inspired Beyonce Leo last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I wore them there.
Beyonce, another person who has reached out to you.
Yes, yes, she has. I'm actually staring at her vinyl that's on my wall right now that she sent me. Just the inspiration that she has given me as being a person and what she has gone through the 20 plus years of her career as being an artist and the dedication and passion and trying to change the way of longevity of being in artistry, and it's just immaculate to me. So I definitely will forever be a beehive. No, like I'm always a beehive, will
Are
forever
you
be
going to
a
Cowboy
beehive.
Carter? Did you get
I
tickets? When did
am.
those go on sale?
They went on sale. There's okay, so there's like 5 different packages that you can go
It's
through.
so
So
complicated,
it's complicated, but
but
hey,
worth it.
if you're a beehive and you
Yeah.
know it, you're gonna get your ticket. So, but yeah, I'm honored that I have so much support and fan base that I get to enjoy and appreciate, because never in a million years did I think that I was going to get a vinyl from Beyonce or flowers from Meg Thee Stallion or even a text from Michael Jordan, like, or have Gabrielle Union in the stands. Like, never in a million years. Again, it goes back to what I was saying at the very beginning. It's an imagination that a little girl makes, and when it comes to reality, it's just something that you will forever cherish. And I couldn't be more thankful that God has given me this gift and this ability to put to the forefront of the world, and I get to continue it on and see where it takes me.
You deserve all of it and
Thank
more.
you.
You
Thank
have
you so much.
remained strong in the face of a lot of difficulty, and you are amazing at this. Watching you is electric. It's exciting. You make me proud to be an American at the Olympics, rooting for you.
Thank
Watching
you.
UCLA, like figuring out how to watch collegiate gymnastics so I can watch you. Incredible. You're amazing.
Thank
Jordan
you.
Childs, thank you so much for being here. Everybody can get your book, I'm That Girl. It's available now. Go read it. It's tough in parts, but if you power through, you get to know you as a person, and what an amazing person you are.
Thank you so much. You guys, go run it up. Go get the book. For real. I better see it everywhere. But no, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and me explaining what my book is all about, and, finding little things about who I am as a person.
Yes, you heard her. Let's run it up. Let's go get her book. Thank you so much to Jordan Childs for being so open with me. It was awesome to talk to her. I wish her nothing but success in the future. What an exciting, she's just like such an exciting personality. So fun to watch her do gymnastics. If you're maybe not a gymnastics person, look up some Jordan Childs videos. She's just like so good at it. She's so entertaining, and just wonderful. So go buy her book, I'm That Girl, available now. Wherever you get books. Our bookstores, go get it wherever you get it. I'm sure you can probably get it on a digital copy. I don't know. I'm like, my poor producers are like, we don't know. Get it, just Google it and get it there. Or use ChatGPT. Are you guys using ChatGPT like that?
No, I've
Me
never used
neither.
it.
And I've just been.
There was a
I've-
couple weeks where I was.
I've
I was,
never
like, asking
used it.
Yeah.
I mean, I used it once, but I used it. It was like when it first was in the news, and I was like, "What's this? Maybe it can teach me how to dress myself." Answer: It can't.
I'm sure it's handy for some things, but I haven't figured out the specific things that it could help me personally with.
But like last week, I was hanging out more with people socially. Dan was away for a week, so I
Nice.
made myself have social. Thank you. I made myself like go out and see people, and like multiple times it came up in conversation. They were like, "Let me just ask GPT," and I was like, excuse me, what? We're not. Are we
Like
doing that?
people say, "I'm going to Google that." Let me check. I'm
I
going
think
to Google it.
that's what made me think of it. I think it's replacing Google in a way. I don't know. It all scares
Yeah.
me. I'm scared of all of it.
I asked it one time to create like a very specific workout plan for me where I was like, I want to do this and this and this and this. What does that look like for someone?
Oh,
that
and it
doesn't
worked?
wanna
And did it
out?
work?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't stick to it, but
I mean, it's half the battle. I think maybe 100% of the battle. But our generation, we used to just pay an Instagram influencer to pretend to do that for us. That was how we got workout plans. You just had to give some lady who said she could do it for you, and then she just automated it. So I guess AI is good for that. I don't know. I'm scared of all of it. You won't catch me using ChatGPT, and not even because of the water thing, because I still don't even understand how that works. But I can use that as my excuse. I'm not using it because I don't want to teach it how to do the stuff I need to know how to do. Because I barely know how to do those things.
Exactly. It's
not
going to
trying
take
to
a lot of
train
jobs
my-
one day.
Yeah, I'm not training my replacement. I'm like, write me a monologue on. I'm like, no. I have to know how to do that. And someday I will. All right, guys, that's our episode. Do you want me to do the contact again? I will. You know why? Because I want to hear from you. Because I want to hear from you so bad. Casualswithkatienolan@gmail.com. 646-801-0043 and at Casuals the podcast on social media. Because here's the thing, I'm trying to be off social media a little bit. It's not doing wondrous things for my brain. So I'm not able to, on our old podcast, I would like kind of mess around on our Reddit and like hear what people had to say. I'm not really, I'm trying not to do that this time. So if you got stuff to say that's important, you can let us know and we tell you how to twice. So I'm not silencing you. I just got to take care of my brain, you know? And I urge you all to do the same thing. Why? Because I love you and I mean it. Bye.